A cowboy named Thorn lived all by himself for years. One day, a hurt Apache girl knocked on his door. Thorn had spent 12 years hiding his cabin in the canyon. He made sure nobody could find it. But when he opened his door at sunrise, this girl, covered in blood, changed everything in his heart. The morning fog was still on the mountains when Thorn heard a soft knock. He stopped, holding his coffee cup, surprised. Nobody knew about this place. He'd worked hard to keep it secret. The knock came again, weaker, like someone could barely tap. Thorn's mind raced. Who could it be? Bounty hunters stopped chasing him years ago. Settlers didn't come this far into Apache land. The closest town was 3 tough days away through dangerous mountains. But the knocking kept going, sounding more desperate. Thorn put down his cup and grabbed his rifle from above the fireplace. His hands shook a little, not from being scared, but because he hadn't seen anyone in so long. He'd built this lonely life on purpose. Far from people. Through a small window, he saw dark hair and ripped clothes. Someone was leaning against his door, barely able to stand. The safe thing would be to ignore them and let them leave or fall somewhere else. That's what the old Thorn would have done. He learned helping people led to trouble. But those weak knocks, getting softer each time, woke something inside him against everything that kept him safe and alone. Thorn opened the door. She fell into his arms before he could move back. A young Apache woman, her black hair sticky with blood, her dress torn and bloody. Her breathing was weak, her skin pale, but even hurt. Her face had a strength that made Thorn feel something he forgot he could. He should have left her outside and acted like it never happened. Apache attacks were happening more, and helping one could get him killed if the wrong people found out. But holding her, feeling her heartbeat, Thorn knew his 12 years of hiding were over. The smart move was to fix her up fast and send her away. But as he carried her to his bed, noticing how she weakly grabbed his shirt, Thorn felt she'd change his life, and he wasn't sure he was ready. Thorn laid her gently on his rough blankets and stepped back. Like she might be dangerous. His hands shook as he saw blood soaking her dress. He'd fixed hurt animals before, and even his own wounds. But this was different. She was an Apache woman, and stories he'd heard in bars came back, tales of Apache warriors who could track anyone, fierce fighters, and their women who could be just as deadly. Every thought told him to drag her outside and block the door, but watching her breathe hard, those stories felt like lies from another time. She wasn't a threat, just someone's daughter bleeding on his bed. She'd walked miles through dangerous land to reach him. Thorn made himself move. He heated water and got his supplies, mostly whiskey for cleaning cuts and old shirt scraps. His hands moved automatically, but his mind was full of questions. Where did she come from? Who hurt her? Why did she make his world feel like it was falling apart? As he came with the hot water, her eyes opened, dark and intense. Most people would be scared waking up hurt in a strange place. But her eyes showed a sharp mind, like she could see right through him. She tried to sit up, winced and fell back with a small gasp. But she didn't cry out, even weak. She wouldn't show fear to a stranger. Thorn knew that kind of stubborn pride. He'd lived it for years. "Take it easy," he said, his voice rough from not talking much. "You're hurt bad." Her eyes studied him like she was memorizing his face. When she spoke, her English was clear but had a musical tone. "You're not what I thought I'd find." Her words hit him hard. What did she expect? A wild mountain man? A crazy hermit who'd shoot first? After 12 years alone, he never thought about how others saw him. "You're not either," he said, then wished he hadn't. A tiny smile appeared on her face. "Gone fast because of pain. I'm Ayana, and you're the ghost man the elders talk about, the one who vanished into the mountains." Thorn froze. If the Apache knew about him, his hideout wasn't safe anymore. Before he could panic, Ayana's next words stopped him. "They say you lost someone, and sadness made you a shadow." Her eyes showed no judgment, just understanding that hurt his chest. "I know that pain." Her voice broke something inside him he thought was gone forever. For 12 years, he believed being alone made him strong. But this hurt stranger saw through his walls like they were nothing. as he reached to check her wounds. Ayana grabbed his wrist, strong despite her pain. Her touch felt like a shock, reminding him he was still human. "Before you help me," she whispered, weaker now, "know that helping me will bring them here, and they won't ask questions." Her warning felt heavy, like a storm cloud. He'd spent 12 years building this safe place, and now helping her could ruin it all. Every instinct told him to leave her outside and let fate decide. But looking into her fading eyes, something changed. In him, maybe it was how she talked about loss, seeing his own pain. Maybe it was just hearing someone understand him after years of silence. "Who's coming?" he asked, gently moving her hand to check her wounds. "White men attacked our camp at dawn. They killed the kids first." Her voice was steady, but Thorn heard the pain underneath. "I was picking herbs by the river when I heard screams. I tried to help, but there were too many." As he lifted her torn dress, Thorn saw a deep cut on her ribs from a knife. Thought it was bad, but fixable if he worked fast. Thought what worried him more was how she talked about the attack, not with anger, but with a tiredness that came from seeing too much violence. "These men," he said, cleaning her wound carefully, "they're after you specifically?" Ayana's laugh was sharp. "My father was Chief Nalish. Soldiers want his family to control him. When they couldn't find our main camp, they attacked smaller groups." The name hit Thorn hard. He'd heard of Nalish, a smart chief who wouldn't be forced onto reservations. Helping his daughter wasn't just risky. It was like starting a war with the government. "Jesus," he said, then felt bad when she flinched. "You're scared of them," she said, watching him. "That's why you hide here, like a herd animal." Her words hurt because they were true. Thorn had been running from his fears so long. Being brave felt strange, but her tone wasn't mean, just sad, and it made him want to be better. "I'm scared of what I become when I stop running," he said, surprised by his own honesty. Ayana's eyes widened. In that moment, they shared a deep understanding of their scars. But then, horse hooves echoed outside. Ayana grabbed his arm, scared. "They followed my trail." Thorn peeked out the window, staying hidden. 3 riders moved slowly along the canyon path, looking at everything like hunters. Even far away, he could tell they were soldiers by how they sat. "Cavalry," he whispered. "Worse," Ayana said, trying to sit up despite her pain. "Bounty hunters working for the territory. They get extra money for catching Apache alive. You need to hide me. If they find me here, they'll kill you too." The smart choice was clear. Turn her over, say he found her passed out, and take any reward. It would keep his hideout safe. 12 years of careful living shouldn't be risked for a stranger, no matter how her eyes seemed to know him. But watching the riders get closer, Thorn felt a familiar anger. These men were like the ones who ruined his life. 12 years ago, men who hurt others for money and hid behind badges. "There's a secret spot behind the fireplace," he said quietly. "A hidden panel. You can fit if you stay quiet." Ayana looked surprised. "You'd risk your safety for someone you just met?" Thorn didn't answer. The horses were closer, and he heard rough voices, now men used to taking what they wanted. He helped Ayana to her feet, holding her up as they moved to the fireplace. "Can you stay quiet, even if they search for hours?" "I've hidden from worse," she said. Her gratitude cleared out as Thorn opened the hidden panel and helped her inside. Their faces got close. For a moment, the danger faded as he saw the strength in her jaw and the fire in her eyes. She was beautiful, not soft but strong, like someone who'd fought to survive. "Why?" she whispered. "Why help me?" Thorn thought of many answers: kindness, hating bounty hunters, or just being lonely. But the truth was deeper, tied to how she made him feel alive again. "Maybe I'm tired of running," he said. Before Ayana could reply, boots stomped on his porch. Thorn sealed the panel and went to the door, his mind racing for excuses. But then he saw a big mistake: bloody bandages and a water bowl on the table, the bed stained with her blood, and fresh blood drops leading to the fireplace. Any tracker would follow that trail right to her. The knocking got louder, and a voice shouted, "Open up. Territorial business." Thorn's hand froze on the door. By helping Ayana, He'd messed up, and now both their lives depended on what he could say in the next 30 seconds. If you were Thorn, what would you do? Lie about the obvious clues or admit the truth and hope for mercy? Tell me in the comments. I need to know what you'd pick, because Thorn's next choice would decide if they both live to see the sunset. Thorn opened the door, acting annoyed, like he was mad about being bothered, not scared. 3 men stood on his porch, hands on their guns. The leader, a skinny guy with mean eyes and a badge that looked fake, spoke first. "Morning," Thorn said, standing in the doorway to block them. "You guys lost?" "Deputy Marshal Clayton Briggs," the leader said, not showing any real proof. "We're chasing a dangerous Apache woman. Her blood trail leads to your door." Thorn saw the blood drops on his porch. His mind worked fast. The clues were bad, but he could still talk his way out. Dangerous? All I found was a half-dead deer with an arrow in it. A deer? The second man, bigger and meaner, stepped closer. "That's a handy story. See for yourself," Thorn said, pointing to bloody rags by his chopping block. "I'm cutting it up all morning. Meat's in the smokehouse if you want to check." It was a risky lie, but Thorn had killed a deer 2 days ago, so the timing helped his story. Briggs wasn't fully convinced. "Mind if we look inside?" Just to be sure. Thorn wanted to say no and grab his rifle, but that would make them suspicious. Instead, he stepped aside, acting annoyed. "Make it quick. I've got stuff to do." The 3 men walked in, their eyes scanning everything. Thorn's heart pounded as Briggs went to the table with the bloody bandages and reddish water. This was it. His lie would either work or fall apart. Messy work. "Butchering," Briggs said, picking up a cloth. "Deer kicked while I was cutting it," Thorn said. "Hit me with a hoof. Ripped my shirt. Had to patch myself up so I didn't bleed on the meat." He rolled up his sleeve, showing an old scar that could look new from far away. The third man, quiet until now, knelt by the fireplace and touched the stone. His finger came back bloody. Thorn's stomach sank as the man followed the blood trail to the hidden panel. "Interesting," the man said slowly. "This blood looks like something heavy was dragged." Briggs stepped closer, hand on his gun. "I've tracked animals for 20 years, and this doesn't look like deer blood." The cabin went quiet, except for the fire crackling. Thorn could almost feel Ayana behind the wall, holding her breath. One wrong word could end it all. "Funny thing about Apache blood," Briggs said casually. "It's worth $50 if it's still warm." If you're liking this story, subscribe to the channel. The threat felt heavy, like smoke. Thorn's safe world was closing in. 12 years of hiding were about to end in a fight, but something had changed since he found Ayana bleeding on his porch. The man who avoided fights was gone, replaced by someone ready to protect something important. $50, Thorn said slowly. "That's what a person's life is worth to you?" Briggs smiled coldly. "Apache ain't people. They're animals to be hunted." He waved to his men. "Search every corner. She's here." The big man moved to the fireplace, and the third started flipping furniture. Thorn watched them wreck his home men with badges, who acted like wolves. His hand moved toward his rifle, but Briggs saw it. "I wouldn't," Briggs warned, half drawing his gun. 3 against 1 isn't fair." "Depends on the 3, Thorn said quietly. Something in his voice made them stop. Thorn stood still, like a calm predator, hinting at danger held back. The man by the fireplace stood slowly, realizing this hermit might not be helpless. "You know what I think?" Briggs said, trying to take control. "You're soft for sad stories. Some Apache girl shows up crying, and you forget your side." "What side?" Thorn asked. "The one that kills kids at dawn?" His words hit hard. Briggs's face turned angry. Those savages deserved it. They raid settlements, kill good people. We're bringing order by hunting them. Briggs pulled his gun fully, and by getting rid of anyone hiding them. The standoff was tense, 3 armed men against 1. But Thorn's calm made the odds feel less certain. The big man by the fireplace found the blood trail and checked the stones, looking for a hidden door. Then, from behind the panel, came a tiny sound of faint breath as Ayana tried to stay quiet despite her pain. It was so soft. But in the quiet cabin, it was loud as a scream. The man at the fireplace froze, head tilted like a dog hearing a noise. "There," he whispered. "Something's breathing behind this wall." Briggs grinned, cruel and happy. "Looks like our hermit's got secrets." He kept his gun on Thorn and nodded to his men. "Open it." Thorn's mind raced. Fighting meant death free against one, and someone would get Ayana. Bargaining wouldn't work. These men didn't keep promises with people they thought were less dot as the men searched the fireplace for the hidden panel. Thorn decided he'd spent 12 years running from violence, hiding what he could do when pushed. But some things were worth fighting for, even if it meant facing his past. "Want to know what's behind that wall?" Thorn said, his voice sharp, making them look at him nervously. "You're about to learn why I really came to these mountains." Thorn changed in a second, from quiet hermit to something dangerous. His eyes turned cold, and his movements were smooth, like someone who'd killed before. "You boys made a mistake," Thorn said, stepping away from the wall. "You thought I was hiding here because I was scared to fight." Briggs kept his gun on Thorn, but he looked unsure. "What's that mean?" "It means I came here to escape what I become when pushed too far," Thorn said calmly, making it scarier. 12 years ago, I was a cavalry officer. Lost my whole team to men like you, thieves with badges, who got good soldiers killed. For money. The big man by the fireplace found the hidden latch but stopped, looking at Thorn nervously. Thorn's change had shifted everything in the room. "I tracked every man responsible," Thorn went on, stepping closer. "Took 2 years, but I got them all. Some died fast. Others had time to regret." "You're lying," Briggs said, but he didn't sound sure. "Captain Thorn Shepard, 5th Cavalry. Check the records if you live long enough." The name felt like a warning. Even out here, people knew the story of the officer who hunted corrupt men. The third man, flipping furniture, stood up. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. "You're the ghost captain. They said you were dead." "Dead would have been easier," Thorn said. "But anger kept me going until I finished. Then I came here to bury that man. Problem is, you brought him back." Briggs's gun hand shook, but he didn't lower it. "You're outnumbered. You're just an old hermit now." "Am I?" Thorn smiled, and it scared them all. "I'll give you one chance. Leave now and forget this place. Keep going, and you'll see why they called me the Ghost Captain." The man at the fireplace opened the panel with a click, showing Ayana curled up, blood on her dress, her eyes full of pain and strength. "There she is," Briggs said, greed beating his fear. $50 of Apache princess. But as he moved toward her, Thorn acted. What happened next was too fast to see clearly. A burst of violence. From years of battles and revenge, the Ghost Captain was back, and nothing would stop him. Thorn grabbed his knife and lunged at Briggs in 2 quick steps. Briggs tried to aim, but Thorn was too close, his knife hitting perfectly. Briggs fell, shocked. As his life slipped away, the big man by the fireplace reached for his gun, but Thorn hit his throat, dropping him gasping. The third man got his pistol up, but Thorn dodged and closed in before he could shoot again. In less than 30 seconds, it was over. 3 men lay dead on Thorn's floor, their blood mixing with Ayana's. The silence was loud, broken only by Thorn's steady breathing and the fire's crackle. Ayana came out slowly, careful of her wound but calm. She looked at the bodies without fear, seeing how quick and deadly Thorn was. "So the stories were true," she said softly. "The Ghost Captain who became a legend." Thorn stood among the bodies, hands bloody, looking like the hermit again, not the killer. "I tried to bury that man here," he said. "Thought staying away from people would make me forget what I could do." "You can't run from who you are," Ayana said, moving to his side. "Just like I can't run from being my father's daughter." They stood together, 2 people who found something special in each other. The fighting was needed, but it broke the walls around Thorn's heart. For the first time in 12 years, he wasn't alone with his pain. "They'll send more," Ayana warned. "When these guys don't come back, others will look for them." Thorn nodded, already planning. "Then we can't stay." I know caves deeper in the mountains where the Apache hid for years. We can vanish completely. We, he said, the word full of meaning. He looked at Ayana, seeing his own loneliness in her eyes. Unless you want me to take you to your people. Ayana thought for a moment. My father's war won't end soon, and after today, soldiers will hunt me harder. But you gave up your safe place for me. Why would you do more? Thorn faced feelings he'd hidden for years. For the first time since I came here, I don't feel like a ghost. Something passed between them, an understanding deeper than words. They were both outsiders, hurt by a world that took everything they loved. But together, they might find something worth keeping safe. As they packed supplies and left the only home Thorn knew for 12 years. Ayana touched his arm softly. The elders say sometimes we lose everything to find what we really need. Thorn looked at his cabin one last time, then at the woman who changed it all with a knock. Maybe they're right. They slipped into the mountain wilderness as the sun climbed high. Two people who found safety in each other when the world gave them none. They left only empty spaces and a promise that some connections, made through blood and bravery, could never break. The ghost captain found his peace, and Ayana found someone to share her exile. Together, they'd write a new story in the tough wilds of the American West. If you're liking this story, subscribe to the channel now. Click the video on the screen for a story even better than this one. With a truth so strong, it'll change how you see loyalty forever.